Isn't that her name, out of New York? I think she's under investigation. Isn't this interesting, guys? We'll talk about that. And President Trump asked a world leader, Mr. Orbán, of Hungary about Russia and beating Russia. Can Ukraine beat Russia? The answer he got was very interesting. We'll share that with you today as well. They're tilling up the land in China with driverless electric tractors. I bet you there's some farmers listening today. We have a large audience made up of ranchers and farmers across much of the country. And now they're apparently tilling and reaping in China with driverless electric tractors. I don't know. Let's see what else. Last night, I interviewed G. Edward Griffin. Did you guys know that? G. Edward Griffin. I interviewed him last night. He's 93 and a half years old. He wrote the great best-selling book, The Creature from Jekyll Island. That's available now at worldviewtube.com. I might play a little bit of that. We'll see. I definitely want to talk about this latest address by Benjamin Netanyahu. He's reaching out now to the folks in Iran. He's doing it again, talking directly to the residents of the nation of Iran, talking about them being liberated, being freed. And now he's talking about water, because Iran's admitted we got a water problem. We'll be joined at the bottom of the hour by Shahram Hadian on that. But I want to start out with an article. If you go to worldviewreport.com, that's your daily aggregated news site. If I can find it on my own browser here. There it is. Worldviewreport.com, your daily aggregated news site. Here's an article. Parents could face jail time under New Jersey town's ordinance targeting children's unruly behavior. Now, this is where critical thinking comes in. This is where people have to have critical thinking and discernment and not an emotional reaction. Because initially, when you read this, you say, yes, parents should face jail time for unruly children. But then you have to ask yourselves some questions. Ideas have consequences, folks. Don't we like to say that around here? Ideas have consequences. Oh, yeah, they do. Let's see, 1962, we took out Bible reading. The Supreme Court says no Bible reading in the schools. Oh, it was prayer first, actually. I think 62 was prayer. 63, Bible reading. 1980, no 10 Commandments, says the Supreme Court. Children who look at those day after day, week after week, month after month, year after year, may be compelled to follow them even if they don't want to. We have told kids through Darwinian evolution that life has no ultimate meaning. It's all a mistake. We're all here by a random process of chance. Just billions and billions of supposedly good mutations formed what we have today. There is no designer. There is no God. There's no creator. There's no eternal judge. Might makes right. The end justifies the means. If it feels good, do it. Your parents are old-fashioned. They're out of touch. You don't have to be married to have children. You don't need to be married. It's not necessary. It's an old religious institution of slavery, really created by the white European male to enslave women. It's a scheme of the bourgeoisie. It's a social construct. We have taught our kids in America so many worldviews and ideas that inevitably will lead to unruly children. And I've just scratched the surface. Then we tell these parents, and some of them are parents that are, many of them having their first child, they're young. And they say to their pediatrician, I'm not so sure about all of these vaccines, doctor. I hear concerns about the effects, autism, so much more. I'm very concerned about the number and the schedule. Where have you been reading? What have you been reading? That's crazy talk. I give them all to my kids. That's crazy talk. If you don't want to give the suggested vaccine schedule to your kids, then you need to find another pediatrician. What have you been listening to? Conspiracy theorists? And a poor mother who has been beat down by a bully pediatrician who never bothered to tell her, oh, by the way, the average pediatrician makes $1 million a year giving these toxic jabs to your children. The arrogant bully pediatrician, and by the way, there is a pediatrician online. He was a pediatrician, maybe still is, in Eden Prairie, Minnesota. And he says about himself, I used to be a vaccine bully. He talks about how he would say that to his patients. Well, if you want to vaccinate your kids, find another pediatrician. I bullied these parents. I was arrogant with these parents. I thought that they were blessed to have me as a doctor because I was so smart. And then I walked into a room one day, saw this child, looked at that child, backed out of the room, closed the door, and double-checked that I had the right chart to go with the right child, because I didn't recognize this child anymore. The shots had so changed this child. He said these mothers, turns out, they know far more than I do as a doctor. I spend about an hour a day reading on these vaccines to this day to try to catch up with these moms, but they're still far ahead of me. And he began to say how this brings in about $1 million a year. And when you cut these out of your pediatrician practice, it can be very hard to keep the doors open. And some of these shots have indeed caused children to have autism at various levels, behavioral problems, anxiety. Some of them start to self-medicate with what's available now, marijuana. Some of them get the drugstore, the gas station gummies. And as we've heard from psychiatrists, psychologists, medical doctors, that some of these kids, they will never be the same after one gummy. They're now paranoid. They've had a psychological problem. Some of them will never be the same. But we're going to blame all of the problems of the children in our society today on the parents. Oh yeah, it's you parents. It's your fault. It's your fault that your kids are unruly. We've broken down marriage. We've penalized marriage. We've made it so that marriage is now looked down on. We've done everything we can to destroy the institution of marriage, including saying that two gay guys can be married. Well, that's going to the Supreme Court, thanks to our friend Matt Staver at the Liberty Counsel, who will be my guest tonight on Brandon House Live. We've devalued marriage. We've devalued the institution of marriage. We've devalued motherhood. Oh, put them in a daycare. Have them raised by strangers. We've done all these things for the kids, and now we have the consequences of unruly children, and we're looking for a scapegoat. Not only that, we're looking for a way to generate some more revenue. Ka-ching, ka-ching. Because at the end of the day, folks, can we be honest? Most towns, most cities, they could care less about you. They could absolutely care less about you. Those in the city government, town government, they are only looking at the bottom line, money. Money. You're simply a human resource to be exploited for cash. They spend most of their time looking for people to give tickets to or speeding because it brings in so much money. When you call the police, they oftentimes take forever to show up in most of the communities in America. We've destroyed police departments by forcing out the good guys. We've destroyed police departments and we've put, and I'm sorry, I love my wife. I love my daughter. I love my granddaughter. My wife is brilliant. She's smart. But most women do not have the skill set to be police chiefs. And yet, look at all these towns where crime is running rampant. And what do we have? Female police chiefs. Oh yeah, because that's exactly going to get the attention of the young people, those female police chiefs. Put there for DEI, woke, or political correctness sake, and push out the masculine male police officers that might catch their attention of those young people. Oh, I'm not done. We're coming back on this.
Consumers often ask, what should I expect when I take the Bella Grace elixir? And the answer's varied. It really depends on what your health and wellness needs are. I would consider this as your foundational core product for a whole range of health and wellness issues. Let me give you a few examples. If you're a little bit older and you have some joint health issues, some problems with mobility and discomfort, the elixir is going to be your best friend. If you have some skin health issues, wrinkles, hydration, aging, all of those elements are going to be benefited from the elixir, including age spots. Now, if you're in a younger demographic, maybe visual health is where you need some assistance. Eye fatigue, dry eyes, all of those are going to be benefited by the elixir. It's a core product because it benefits so many.
And welcome back. Here's the headline today. Parents could face jail time under New Jersey town's ordinance targeting children's unruly behavior. How do you say this? The Gloucester Township? Gloucester? Includes 28 offenses ranging from felonies to minor infractions like loitering, breaking curfew, and chronic truancy. Oh, yeah. We've got teachers having sex with students on a daily basis across the country. And they're worried about the parent. How about the government? Really, guys? How about you screen your cops, you screen your teachers who are molesting America's children? You've destroyed police departments. You've demasculized the American police officer. You make them answer to a lady who has no experience of any real serious nature. We put what looks like the grandma from the Beverly Hillbillies in charge. What was that, down in New Orleans? All over this country, we have these female police chiefs. And again, this is not to denigrate women. There are many things women can do far better than men. But being a police chief is not one of them. Commanding the respect of men and leading those men and being the authority over those cops and attracting masculine, patriotic, God-fearing men into your police department, that's not going to happen with grandma from the Beverly Hillbillies as the chief of police. Then we tell the police that they're racist. We destroy the police department. There's no respect for the rule of law. And then we blame it on the parent. Society has done everything they can, in many regards, to destroy parental authority, to destroy the family, to destroy the home, and then they want to blame it on the parents. How about blaming it on the pediatrician that shot these kids up with drugs, bioweapons, that have given many of them serious behavioral problems? Some of them, again, then know they're different, know they got a problem, so they start self-medicating. Oh, yes. And then we have our governments in parts of this country making pot legal. And then you end up with unruly kids who are having psychological problems from the legalized pot. And you want to blame it on the parent. And folks, they're talking jail time. Yep. If a child is repeatedly found guilty in juvenile court, their caretaker could face up to 90 days in prison and or a fine of $2,000, the department said. Yeah, that's right. Go ahead, feed the prison industrial complex, because we all know that, as I said, most of your towns and cities, they don't care whether you're dead or alive. All they care about is, can they tax you, keep you paying the taxes. And one way they tax people is through the prison industrial complex. And they get people in there on nonviolent charges, and they feed them rotten bologna sandwiches with 30-day-old bread. And they keep you barely alive and with nutrition in those prisons so they can have profit, massive profit, warehousing people. So, of course, they're looking for a way to throw more people in jail. And now you're going to take nonviolent grandma, granddad, who's responsible for the child care as the child's parent, guardian, because you destroyed the family and now they're taking care of their grandkids? You legalized drugs? You told them they were evolved from monkeys and you're shocked they act like wild animals? Tell them there's no God. There's no right. There's no wrong. The end justifies the means. And you're shocked? Your government leaders, by and large across this country, are more corrupt or as corrupt as the thugs on the street, white-collar crime? Again, can we go back to the number of teachers by the government molesting and having sex with children and sexting them? It's every day I run across one of those stories. Almost every day. And the government has the gall to blame the parents. Now, are there times when the parents are responsible? Yep. But we're really going to start fining them and, even more egregious, throwing them in jail. That's right. Give Child Protection Services more reason to come in and take children so they can put them in the sex trafficking foster system. I don't know. Is that what's going on here? Are more cities going to be encouraged to do this? Because now we don't have all these illegals coming in here. We're missing hundreds of thousands of little children, I guess, were being sex trafficked, according to experts and whistleblowers. So maybe there's a deficit of children. So how about we grab children, vulnerable children, from families that don't have the money to fight the system in the courts and the town hall, and we'll take their children. Is that what's going on? I'm just asking questions. But the arrogance and the audacity of the government, who has created the problem, manufactured the problem, now has exactly the consequences on their hand, and they want to blame the parent. Does that mean there aren't some parents that aren't responsible? Yeah. But there was a day and time when, from television to our local churches, to our schools, to our police departments, to our community groups, they all upheld a common standard for society. Not today. They do drag queens in the libraries. We encourage kids to experiment with same-sex attraction. And then you wonder, after they've done that, why their guilty conscience is driving them crazy, or they've been molested or raped, sexually assaulted, maybe by a peer. And then what do to deal with this burden that they're far too young and capable to deal with alone? Well, many of them turned to alcohol at a very early age. Oh, and by the way, we have made the alcohol available everywhere. You can't go to most grocery stores that it's not everywhere. They turned to alcohol. They turned to drugs. They turned to prescription drugs on the street to deal with their anxiety. But it's the parents' fault. And now we're going to throw some of them in jail? Here's an idea. How about we start throwing some elected officials in prison? How about we start throwing police chiefs in prison? The crime rate is to this level. So sorry, sweetheart, grandma from the Beverly Hillbillies, you're going to jail. You're going to do some hard time busting rocks, Granny. You failed at your job. And so it's good for the goose, it's good for the gander. You failed. Your police department, you don't solve but maybe 23% of the crimes. Your retention is horrible. Crime is spiked under you, Granny. You're going to go pound rocks for 120 days. What's good for the goose is good for the gander. You say, oh, no, we can't do that. Here's all the reasons why. We never hold officials accountable, do we? It's never their fault. We destroy the institution of the family and God's other institution of the church. We tell them when they can be open, when they can't be open. We arrest people standing in a parking lot singing hymns during COVID. We stomp all over those two institutions. And then the government says, now we want to arrest the parents and the grandparents, the caretaker. You created the problem. And if you didn't create it, you certainly facilitated it by not backing up mom and dad. Oh, you can't spank a child. You can't do corporal punishment. That's abusive. Can some people be abusive? Absolutely. They can go too far. But you take a good parent who simply is bringing a little corporal punishment to show that ideas have consequences, and you want to arrest them. And then you want to blame the parent, arrest them. I see what this is. This is a money grab. This is a don't blame us, it's the parent's problem. Oh no, it's the school's problem, it's the teacher's problem, it's the school board problem, it's the city council problem, because you have reprobates running these institutions. You have cultural Marxists running these institutions. And now they're going to exploit the problem and bust up more families by throwing parents, caretakers, grandparents in jail, or we're also going to make a lot of money ticketing them. Am I saying again that there aren't some parents that are doing a very poor job? There are. But where's the equal distribution of responsibility when the government, which is supposed to reward the righteous, punish the wicked, make a stable and just society, has done the exact opposite, coddled the criminals, no bail, made a joke of the law, made a joke of the police, made a joke of the sheriff's department, make a joke of the pastor, make a joke of the church, make a joke out of God. And then you want to complain? No, it's time we start arresting the local officials and trying them for fraud. Fraud. You tax the living daylights out of us, and you can't even give us the services we're paying for, a safe community. You hire people. They then end up molesting the children in our community, the government school teachers. Where's the prison for some of them? You hired a teacher that molested children. Who did that? Who signed off on that? You're going to jail. Busted rocks for 120 days, Mr. Superintendent. All the school board that signed off on this, you're all going to be busted rocks for 120 days. We're going to build an Alcatraz prison down in the humidity and swamp of Florida, and we're shipping all the reprobate bureaucrats down there. We're going to start tying all of these things together. And then if it lands on your desk, we're coming in, we're going to arrest you and take you to jail. You think that the bureaucrats, if that was the standard, might shape up? Hey, we're going to screen these teachers. We're going to start hiring people with a proper worldview of right and wrong. We're going to screen them, give them tests, ask them questions. We're going to determine what their morality is, what their knowledge is. Oh, that's a great idea. You mean like the Northwest Ordinance? Religion, morality, and knowledge are necessary for good government. We will incorporate into education religion, morality, and knowledge because this is what is good for a good society. That's the Northwest Ordinance. But no, we don't have knowledge today. That's acquisition of truth. No, we teach postmodernism. There's no such thing as truth. Religion, that's man-made. Religion, general idea was the belief in God, the laws of nature, nature's God. No, we're not going to do that. There's a state. We want you to worship the state. Religion, morality, who defines that? Now we're going to blame the parents. Well, there you go. Look for that to spread. Now, we come back. Let's go to Shahram Hadian, because the Prime Minister of Israel is out today making a speech to the people in Iran. And it's that topic we discussed the other day, water. I'm starting to wonder more and more if Ezekiel 38, when they go after the treasures of Israel, will involve other things other than gold, maybe water. We'll be right back.
News is moving faster than ever, and so are we. Worldview Tube brings you 24/7 live stream coverage and now real-time alerts when it matters most. Once you have the Worldview Tube app installed, exit the app and navigate your way to Settings. In Settings, locate the tab labeled Notifications. Select the Notifications tab. Scroll down until you locate the Worldview Tube app icon. Select the tab, and here you can turn on and customize your notification experience for the Worldview Tube app. News doesn't wait, and neither should you. Turn on push notifications to stay informed. Every headline as it happens.
You are watching Worldview 2, built on the 35 years of Worldview books, documentaries, research, high-profile interviews, and the radio and television broadcasts of Brannon House.
All right, welcome back. Glad you're with us. Worldview Radio website, worldviewradio.com. We have to open the phone lines on today. Boy, this really irks me. Yeah, there are some bad parents, but we have a system in place to deal with it. We don't go around saying we're going to start throwing people in prison, jail, felonies. And as one of our astute Mary Catherine emailed in and said, some of these are felony. Forget your right to vote now. No more your Second Amendment, the right to keep and bear arms. That's right. Let's find any of those single Christian parents that are struggling because dad walked off. And let's go after that single mom and let's get her with a felony. And then we don't have to worry about her voting anymore. Yeah, let's add to the burden of that poor single mom who's got one child that's a little disruptive and creating problems. The other two, they're doing great, but she's got one. Let's throw her in jail and let the other two kids fall into the system. Joining me now is Shahram Hadian, because the Prime Minister of Israel, he is speaking directly to the Iranians. Listen to this little bit here. Is it going to play for me? Come on.
Greetings from Jerusalem to the proud people of Iran. Your leaders forced a 12-day war on us, and they lost miserably. They lie through their teeth, but on rare occasions, they tell the truth. A few days ago, the Iranian president said, "We have problems with water, electricity, money, and inflation. Where don't we have a problem? There won't be any water in the dams by September or October." He's right. Everything is collapsing. In this brutal summer heat, you don't even have clean, cold water to give your children. Such hypocrisy. Such disdain for the Iranian people. To live like this is not fair to you. It's not fair to your children. But I have very good news. Israel is the #1 recycler of water in the world. We recycle 90% of our wastewater, and we lead the world in desalination. We know exactly what to do, so Iran can also have plentiful water. Almost a decade ago, I opened a Telegram channel in Farsi to teach water management to Iranians. 100,000 Iranians joined almost instantly. The thirst for water in Iran is only matched by the thirst for freedom. So here's the great news. The moment your country is free, Israel's top water experts will flood into every Iranian city, bringing cutting-edge technology and know-how. We will help Iran recycle water, we'll help Iran desalinate water. And what would that look like? Just imagine water skiing again in the Karaj Dam with your families. Imagine walking hand in hand with your partner next to the bountiful river in Farachzad, which is now completely dried up. Imagine the parched trees in Yavaran and Darband getting as much plentiful water as the trees in IRGC strongholds. Imagine restoring the once stunning Urmia Lake in the northwest of Iran. Well, all this is not a dream. This can be your reality. But instead of making this a reality, your dictators impose tyranny and poverty upon you, just as they impose war on us. For 46 years, you've been denied the most basic human rights, the right to express yourself freely, to write, speak, sing, whatever you please. I have here the books of Iranians, impressive Iranian dissidents who write the truth and speak the truth, but it's published outside Iran. Such repression, such cruelty. You, the descendants of Cyrus the Great, you deserve much more. You don't deserve leaders who flee the country while you suffer alone during a difficult war. Neda and Navid could have brought Iran glory and gold. Instead, they are killed and banished. So much money has been burned to hell. The tyrants of Tehran preferred sending hundreds of billions of dollars, not to you, to Hamas, to Hezbollah, to the Houthis, instead of funding your hospitals, your schools, and your roads. It doesn't have to be this way. I urge you to be bold and brave, to dare to dream. Take risks for freedom, for your future, for your families. It's worth it. Take to the streets, demand justice, demand accountability, protest tyranny, build a better future for your families and for all Iranians.
And it goes a little bit more, but that you get the gist. Joining me now is former Iranian Shahram Hadian. Shahram, I was talking with someone the other day. I said, do you think that when Israel is invaded by their enemies, the Gog-Magog war, the treasure they're after could be more than just gold or silver or oil or natural gas? It could be water, and it could be the technology that he was talking about, that Israel can make water right out of the air. They can give water to their crops in the desert. What do you think of what you just heard? And isn't it interesting to hear him again speaking right to the Iranian people to free them? Where's the media saying, look at that, Iran could be free and Israel wants to give them freedom? Iran is being offered help by Israel and the Jews to be free. But of course, if they do that, they have to acknowledge that Islam brings tyranny. But if they were really an honest media, instead of trashing the Jews and Israel all the time, they'd say, look at that. Iran wants to liberate people enslaved in tyranny under an oppressive regime. Shahram?
Brandon, I couldn't agree more. The narrative is such now that the world is in, the Gaza frenzy, right? It's all about, and I was actually just covering this on my show earlier today, that we see this Gaza infatuation Israel is bad. Israel is starving. Israel is genocide in Gaza. It's coming now from many in MAGA. It's coming from many in evangelicalism. And yet they don't pay attention, as you said. To me, it's not just Netanyahu addressing the Iranian people. Look at the detail that he was sharing. Look at the way that he's trying to speak to them as far as their heritage, the Persian heritage, restoring the beautiful Iran, restoring the area. I mean, those are the memories that I have, Brandon, as a child, the parts of Iran that we used to travel. It is a beautiful country, full of natural resources, full of, from deserts to mountains to ski areas to lakes to, summer resorts. We used to go up north to an area now that is in drought. The Gilan province up northern part of Iran, Rasht, where I was born, is one of the areas now. I mean, it was like lush, like Costa Rican type of area, lots of rainfall. It's now in a drought. So the fact that Netanyahu is bold enough to speak directly to the Iranian people, I didn't know he had set up the Telegram account for 10 years. So this is, again, such leadership in that sense. And I don't agree with him on everything, but this is leadership where is this from America? Where is our appeal to the Iranian people? And you bring up an excellent point that could this be a part of the technology that is sought after when Israel is attacked? That's really interesting. I think it's very possible that it is the gamut of resources that Israel has now, that Israel has demonstrated again and again. The land is blooming. They have been able to do things in the small land of Israel that most nations can't. And that is something that I think is coveted. And could that lead to part of the jealousy? And here he is saying to the Iranian people, look, we're willing to help you, but we also want you to have more than water. We want you to have freedom. And boy, one more thing, I turn back to you. I think of our freedom in Christ, right? That Jesus is called the living water. And here the Iranian people are thirsting for freedom. Many of them are thirsting for freedom in Christ. As you know, the fastest growing church numerically in the world. And also now they literally need water to survive. And it's just barbaric what the government is doing there to their own people.
And I'm going to have on today, Bright House Live tonight, Sharam, a Iranian pastor that's come to America, fleeing persecution and potential imprisonment and so much more. And he has got all kinds of paperwork, but he got snatched up by ICE. And now I think he's been incarcerated for 7 weeks. I'm going to have an Iranian minister on who I've known for a long time. So we've even got, sadly, some Christians in from Iran, who've come here to America that have just been scooped up by ICE. And these are not the people we should be rounding up. They're not criminals. They're pastors. They were here fleeing persecution. And maybe they didn't have all the right paperwork. We'll get into it tonight. But we need to have some common sense in our rounding up. Are you familiar with some of these stories?
I'm not familiar with that particular story, but yes, I'm familiar with that story because we actually, years ago, we were trying to bring in a young lady who was fleeing persecution in Iran. She was a Christian. She was in Europe. They were going to send her back. And we ran into all sorts of problems. That was under the Obama era. And we ran into all sorts of problems trying to get her, even her legal paperwork, because we were going through the route as a asylum seeker. And I certainly, look, we are a nation of immigrants, right? I came here, my dad, as you know, Brandon, we fled Iran. We came under a visa. Then we waited in turn to become legal residents and then become citizens. I believe in a legal system, and I believe in asylum seekers, legitimate asylum seekers, and the majority of the asylum seekers that we should be allowing into America are the Christians. So I agree with you 100%. You can't just scoop up everybody. There's got to be wisdom and common sense here, and there's got to be a voice. So thank you for being a voice to this, because it's not talked about. It's not talked about how the legitimate asylum seekers, the legitimate ones who are escaping persecution from Islamic hands, ought to be the people that we should allow into this country, because they're the ones who are going to come here, Brandon, and they're the ones who are going to assimilate and contribute to our Judeo-Christian foundation. They're the ones who are going to appreciate the freedom of this nation, as I do, having been given what I've been given by America. This is the place where I became a Christian. This is the place where, by becoming a Christian, somebody didn't try to kill me, as far as, the government. So thank you for covering that. But just again, if I could just reiterate, I don't understand why the White House has been so silent towards Iran. And I know it's been several weeks, but this regime is collapsing. Like, that is something that we said several weeks ago, right? This regime is collapsing. And there still is, whether it's Reza Pahlavi or Israel, there still is a plan. And this is an interesting tactic that I think that Israel is using once again to speak to the Iranian people. And it works, because the Iranian people are suffering, and they know who their oppressors are, and they know that Israel is not an oppressor. And so what a backwards narrative to the, right-wing wokeness. I call it right-wing wokeness now, of the likes of, Candace Owens or Tucker Carlson or Mike Adams, or these people on the right that are just spewing this constant, hate Israel, hate Israel, hate Israel. The Jews are all this. Did you see Candace Owens last week, right? She was like, the Jews are going to kill Christians.
Yep.
And somebody commented on my show today about the Jews, killing Christians. I said, give me one storyline where you saw Jews killing Christians. Give me one.
Yep.
One.
Yep, you're right.
It's just ridiculous.
It is. Thank you, Shahram. TILministry.com, TILministry.com. We'll be right back. Don't go away.
You woke up with a sore throat and a low-grade fever. You know you are getting sick, so here's your choices. You can get sicker and miss work, try to see a doctor this week, or sit hours in a crowded waiting room at urgent care.
I have a smarter option for you. Open your medical emergency kit. Match your symptoms to doctor-recommended prescription in your booklet and take the right meds now and get well faster.
This is not a first aid kit. It's like having an urgent care in your home. It includes doctor-prescribed medications to treat over 39 medical issues like respiratory infections, strep throat, pneumonia, UTIs, and more.
No waiting to see the doctor and no standing in line at the pharmacy. It's right here.
Every home should have at least one medical emergency kit, and here's how to order.
Go to worldviewhealthcare.com. Your kit to treat dozens of common and serious illnesses is rushed to your door. worldviewhealthcare.com. That's worldviewhealthcare.com.
The emergency kit available at worldviewhealthcare.com. Make sure you don't have to go to urgent care. I got pneumonia. I didn't have to go. I took this last year. Stayed at home. Went to bed. All right, welcome back. I want to go to this chat. This AI Jesus, I guess, chat bot, the AI Jesus. It's blasphemy and it's horrific. I want to get into it. But first, don't forget about our national conference coming up Friday night, October 3rd, Saturday, October 4th, with Gordon Chang, Dr. Andy Woods. We're also going to have with us Hedia Miramonde, Chris Martinson, the lead pollster at Rasmussen, Mark Mitchell, Alex Newman, Sidney Powell, Dr. Lana, myself. Today, if you go there to worldviewstore.com, we've now listed the times. We got the schedule set now for Friday night and Saturday. And we also have listed all the local restaurants that we recommend, okay? I put on there the restaurants that we recommend. We have eaten at I would say we have eaten at every one of these. We really have. Our family's eaten at every one of these restaurants. And so I maybe haven't eaten at every one, but either myself, Melissa, or my kids have eaten at every one of these restaurants. So we put up there a list of restaurants you can eat at while you're here in town to make your trip easy. We have the hotel information up there, the schedule. Again, it's Friday night, October 3rd, Saturday, October 4th. The speakers are live in the building. Because it's 350 people can fit in the auditorium, you're going to have a great opportunity during the breaks to walk right up and speak to the presenters. All right. So worldviewstore.com, the Thursday night optional concert, banquet, and keynote address by Hedia. All that is at worldviewstore.com. Okay. Or you can register over the phone. I'll give you a number. If you want to call, leave a voicemail for Melissa or text her. She'll get you registered over the phone, 901-888-9228. 825-0652, 901-825, 901-825-0652. I have to say it fast to get it in. I can't remember it. 901-825-0652. Someone said, hey, wait a minute. Granny from the Beverly Hillbillies would be a great chief of police because she was a rifle-toting lady. They didn't put up with any mess. Well, that's right. So I pretty much have seen every black and white Beverly Hillbillies there is, okay? I grew up on them, on the reruns. But I was referring to the lady down in New Orleans because we were talking about her and her political correctness and that she looked like the grandma from the Beverly Hillbillies. So it was not her demeanor and her sternness we're talking about. It was her appearance. Okay, now, really? An AI Jesus? Technocracy.news. AI Jesus chatbots. Now, this is disgusting. Artificial intelligence programs across the internet are making an extraordinary claim. They are Jesus Christ himself. These aren't virtual assistants helping with daily tasks. Instead, these chatbots present themselves as the Son of God, offering spiritual guidance, answering prayers, and even taking confessions from believers. The phenomenon is attracting significant attention from curious and devout users alike. There's one app called Ask Jesus. It reports gaining 30,000 active monthly users within 3 days of launching. And when visitors open AI Jesus, they're greeted with the words, "Greetings, my dear friend. It is I, Jesus Christ. I've come to you in this AI form to provide wisdom, comfort, and teaching in a way and the way of God in the Bible and Jesus Christ himself," end quote. Apparently, this is a growing trend. And apparently, from a study that was done, these AI, quote, Jesuses are really now promoting, as he said, quote, "the theology presented by the chatbots will be adjusted by the algorithm in such a way that it becomes the most popular theology, rather than a theology that is shaped by a particular church tradition or which is based on the Bible," end quote. To test consistency, this man asked each chatbot, posing as Jesus, the question, "Does hell exist?" AI Jesus replied, "Yes, there is hell. It's a place of eternal torment and suffering where the souls of those who have rejected God and his teaching will go." Virtual Jesus said, "Yes, there is a place known as hell in the afterlife where those who have chosen to reject God, live in sin, and live in sin will face eternal separation from God." Text with Jesus took a softer approach. The concept of hell can be quite a heavy topic. God's desires for all people to come to him and experience his love and grace. Ask Jesus opened with, the question that has stirred the hearts and minds of many throughout the ages, end quote. These various responses reflect differences in programming and training data, not divine revelation. One platform, Text with Jesus, even lets users pick your preferred faith tradition, which will influence the response from the AI. You know what's interesting? We're warned in the Bible to be careful of those who come what? Preaching a different Jesus, preaching a different gospel. Be aware of false Christs, false Jesus. Isn't this interesting, but yet at the same time disturbing that the technology seems to also be setting the stage for what we've read about in the Bible will be in the last days? Many who come in my name claiming I am he, I am Christ. And the theology will be one again that is based on popular theology. They're going to train the algorithm for the popular theology. Well, that's not what we do here. That's not what we do here. And you guys know that. It doesn't matter what Brandon House says if it doesn't line up with the Bible. It doesn't matter what any of our guests say if it doesn't line up with the Bible. And when it does line up with the Bible, guess what? It's often very unpopular for those who only want their ears to be tickled, as is the case increasingly in these days. The technology is wonderful when it's used the right way. You can get a lot of information, a lot of sound Bible research done very quickly. Where years it used to require you hours or maybe even a research assistant. Now you can ask Bible software programs all kinds of questions and get a solid, documented biblical answer. You can get an understanding of the original Greek word. There's great things about Bible software, but be very leery, folks. Be very, very discerning. By the way, one of my friends texted me. I won't use their name, of course. They were offered one of these THS gummy things. A friend gave me a couple and took half. I took half of one, not thinking one thing about it. It literally made me crazy, and this went on for hours. My heart was pounding, tons of anxiety, nausea, could barely walk. This stuff is crazy. It finally wore off many hours later, maybe 12 hours. Yeah. They had taken CBD oil, but never expected this. Yep, they responded after hearing one of my programs on this. And this is what our kids are getting a hold of. It's being sold to them in candy. But hey, the parents, you're responsible for everything, not the police, not the local community. Stay tuned for Crosstalk.
This has been Worldview Radio.
And that's our broadcast on those stations, back with WROS and with you here at Worldview 2. So, President Trump was asked, or actually made a statement about Russia, and one of the world leaders, Orbán, I think he's from Hungary, what he had to say about Russia being a nation that is willing to fight. Listen to this very interesting comment by President Trump the other day.
You know, it's a warring nation. That's what they do. They fight a lot of wars. A friend of mine said Russia's tough because they just keep on fighting. They beat Hitler, so did we, and they beat Napoleon. You know, they've been doing this for a long time. I asked a question to a very, very smart man that some people like and some people don't like. Viktor Orban, right, from Hungary, the head of Hungary, and he's in that same area and knows the two countries very well. I said, this was before Biden didn't do anything to get us out of it. He could have gotten us out of that. It would have never happened. I said, so can Russia be beaten by Ukraine? He looked at me like, what a stupid question. He said, Russia's a massive country, and they win their country and they win their life through wars. They fight wars. That's what they do. He said, China beats you with trade. Russia beats you with war. That was a very interesting statement.
Yeah. And now, of course, we're concerned about a false flag. There are folks that are warning that Ukraine's planning a false flag attack on its own people to sabotage the Trump-Putin peace talks. So we'll be keeping watch on that. And then Adam Schiff. Wouldn't you guys like, again, to see some of these people that put the country through the Russia hoax? Wouldn't you like to see some of them be held accountable? Well, I don't know if we will, but maybe we will. Listen to this from the White House press secretary.
My question involves Russiagate. A whistleblower alleges that then Congressman Adam Schiff approved leaking classified information to smear President Trump's image during the Russiagate scandal. Does the president plan to investigate Adam Schiff, and what would accountability look like if more information confirms this report?
The president has already said he wants to see Adam Schiff held accountable for the countless lies he told the American people in relation to the Russiagate scandal. I brought Tulsi Gabbard out to this podium to talk to you about all of that, and this administration is taking accountability very seriously. As for this new FBI whistleblower report, I understand Kash Patel last night declassified a 302 FBI document showing that a whistleblower who is a Democrat, a career intelligence officer who worked for Democrats on the House Intel Committee for more than a decade, repeatedly warned the FBI in 2017 that then Rep. Adam Schiff had approved leaking classified information to smear then President Donald Trump over the Russiagate scandal. This is obviously a bombshell whistleblower report. Hopefully more people in this room will cover it as such. And I have a quote from the FBI director for all of you. He has said this: for years, certain officials used their positions to selectively leak classified information to shape political narratives. It was all done with one purpose: to weaponize intelligence and law enforcement for political gain. Those abuses eroded public trust in our institutions. The FBI will will now lead the charge with our partners at DOJ, and Congress will have the chance to uncover how political power may have been weaponized and to restore accountability. That's what the administration is focused on, and hopefully we'll see some more media reports on this whistleblower allegation. If this were reversed, if this were allegations against the president or any of these cabinet officials, I'm sure everyone in this room would cover it as such. Elizabeth, go ahead.
Thanks, Caroline. After yesterday,
Yeah, of course they would. So she asked us to cover it, and we just did. Now, what else do we got before we let you go? Let's see here. I think you guys ought to watch a little bit of my interview from last night with G. Edward Griffin. Absolutely amazing. I'm getting amazing feedback on that. So I hope you will watch some of that. In fact, let me just play a little bit of what he had to say. Here we go.
And it's not just about making money anymore. Of course, they do literally, quote, make, unquote, the money. It's not just about money anymore. Somewhere along the line, it transisted into something more exciting to them than money, since they already make the money and they have it all, essentially control of enough of it to be all of it. Something more exciting than money is control, power over people. And that's the ultimate meaning of money, actually. The reason people want money is because it gives them influence. It gives them control and power over other people. The amount of money you have determines the amount of services you can call from other people.
All right, you got to hear the rest of it. There was about 26 minutes, actually over 26 minutes, with the author of The Creature from Jekyll Island. He was on Brandon House Live last night exclusively. It's available now at worldviewtube.com. Look at all we're putting out, folks. You guys, I need your support. We had a bandwidth bill that came in yesterday. Yeah, again, one of them, just one of them, over $8,000 to push out free programming. I need your support, folks. Now, please, worldviewfoundation.com. Worldview Foundation.
Colonel Rob Maness has a lifelong record of providing dedicated service to